medicines, it will have to take time. And what we are providing with the maximum drug vehicle price is an immediate relief to this problem. Now, Your Honors, Juan de la Cruz, our ordinary street sweeper, suffers a hypertensive attack in the middle of the noon, and he is suffering because he cannot afford to take once a day his daily maintenance of amlodipine, which is 80 pesos per tablet. This is reality, Your Honor. That's why the maximum drug vehicle price should not be scrapped. There are two basic and simple reasons, Your Honor. Juan de la Cruz cannot afford the drug, and second, the drugs in Executive Order 821 address public health concerns and is the most prescribed drug in the country today. Your Honors, the MDRP is the most concrete and immediate action the government can take in addressing our problem on expensive drugs. In fact, DOH would tell us that even if we import drugs from other countries, which actually manufacture these drugs at a cheaper price, is still not effective. Now, Your Honors, furthermore, if we do manufacture these drugs today, it will still have to take time. Because if you note, RA 9502, Section 13 provides that you have to exert efforts to obtain the authority of the patent owner within a reasonable amount of time.
Your position is that parallel importation, even over time, will not reduce the price of drugs?
It may, Your Honor, but it will take so much time that it does not answer the pending need of our citizens today, the urgent need for these drugs. Now, Your Honors, these 5 drugs in Executive Order 821 address public health concerns and are the most prescribed drugs in the country today. In fact, DOH would tell us that these four drugs in EO 821 would address the top 3 leading causes of death in the Philippines, that is vascular disease, heart disease, and cancer. Now, DOH would tell us that almost 200,000 Filipinos die of these diseases every day, and the Philippine Council for Health Research would tell us that 500,000 more suffer. In fact, one woman in every 2 minutes will actually be diagnosed of cervical cancer.
Mr. Speaker, you're focused on public health. That's well and good. But what about the financial health of the manufacturers of these drugs?
Yes, Your Honors. To answer that, there's the DOH and DTI in their report in the Congressional Oversight Committee, they mentioned that they have conducted actually studies to determine the prices of these drugs, and they have found out that even though they pegged it at these rates or at these prices, our pharmaceutical companies will still profit. So, I will move on, Mr. Speaker. Your Honors, the more serious issue is the fact that the access to these drugs are actually limited, Your Honors. Deaf Pulse of NEDA would tell us that our drugs in the Philippines are 40 to 70% more expensive as compared to our Asian counterparts. In fact, WHO would tell us that less than 30% actually have access to these drugs. A person suffering from a serious ailment, Your Honor, today cannot wait until he can afford these medicines. Juan de la Cruz needs government intervention, and he needs it now, precisely through the exercise of police power, EO 821. If those who have less in life should have more in law, Your Honor, then EO 821 should not be scrapped.
All right, Glenn, from the affirmative side, 2 minutes to interpolate, please.
Good evening, Ms. Speaker. Are you aware that the Cheaper Medicines Act amended the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines?
Yes, I am aware.
Are you aware that before, in order to have parallel importation, there has to be a national emergency?
Yes, exactly.
And are you aware that now, as amended, just mere public health concern can now justify parallel importation and compulsory licensing?
Necessarily.
Yes, true, okay. Moving further, are you aware that under the Cheaper Medicines Act, generic manufacturing companies can register their generic versions of branded drugs even while the patent exists?
Precisely, Mr. Speaker, but our position is that
moving
this
further,
would have to
you did
take
this to me
time.
earlier, I'll do this to you.
Years.
Are you aware that the Cheaper Medicines
Your
Act,
Filipino
the
who is
Cheaper
suffering,
Medicines Act are
your one
lowering
Filipino
tariffs
suffering,
and taxes
actually
for
wait
the importation
until
of drugs?
this parallel importation will work.
Okay. Are you aware that now tariffs and taxes are now being lowered for the importation of drugs because of the Cheaper Medicines Act?
Yes.
So are you aware that with all of these amendments, you still claim that there is no remedy that is quick and efficient to lower the prices of drugs?
We believe that it is really not an effective remedy.
Moving further, because you have a difference of opinion there, let's talk about drug companies. Are all drug companies the same? Are they all the same?
Of course not.
Of course not, that's true. Can there be a one-size-fits-all policy that will take into account all of the needs of these drug companies now?
Based on the study of the DOH and BDI, yes.
The same study that cited that there can be losses as much as 146 to 208 million
Well, that's
per
your study
pharma.
against our study, or the study of DOH and BDI.
Precisely, ma'am. So are you aware that there are two stories, two sides of the same story? So are you aware that the mere possibility of these pharmaceutical companies going bankrupt and going out of business can in fact harm public health in the long term?
Actually, Mr. Speaker, I don't believe that 5 drugs can actually make these drug companies bankrupt or go bankrupt.
Oh, because you're saying that they're not getting that money, but it's not merely profit. But aren't you aware that there's also research and development that is needed to do?
I really don't think so, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. JD, the request of 4 minutes to rebut the reason and argue the beneficiality of scrapping the MDRP.
Mr. Chair, members of this House, good evening. We, the affirmative, believe that the maximum drug retail price, excuse me, or the MDRP, should be scrapped because this will be very, very beneficial and will actually serve not just one, but actually multiple interests of all interested parties involved. First, by removing the MDRP, we uphold the policy of free market competition, one that is always recognized in this country. Allowing market forces to freely control the price fosters competition. We basically let market forces do their thing, and this can lead to the lowering of prices. Secondly, the scrapping of the MDRP benefits two very interested parties. On the one hand, if we scrap this, we help the pharmaceutical companies, the private hospitals, maybe you can say maybe the corporate side of it, but at the same time, we are also benefiting public health. By allowing pharmaceutical companies to set the prices on their products, the benefit to them is that they will have more money to spend for research and development. This will lead to new products, new and better and even more efficient ways of manufacturing, which may even lead to lower costs, which will lead to lower prices. And they will be able to sufficiently cover their costs, which will avoid the possibility of them going bankrupt. Yes, Your Honor.
This is not a fact that we have a free market policies, especially specifically with respect to drugs, and up to today, it has not caused the dropping of the prices of basic drugs.
Yes, Your Honor. That's why the Cheaper Medicines Act is in effect. And aside from setting a ceiling, as argued by the first speaker, it has other ways to address that, such as the parallel importations, the compulsory licensing, and of course, we also have the Generics Act. As my first speaker has said, we should just push more and argue more. So there are other ways to do that, aside from setting a license. Now, since we are letting the market forces work freely, we foster competition. The pharmaceutical companies will always strive to do better. Now, by satisfying the interests of the pharmaceutical companies, at the same time, we are able to satisfy the interests of the consuming public and public health. No doubt that cheaper, newer, better, and more efficient medicines will benefit public health. Keeping pharmaceutical companies competitive will also no doubt benefit public health. We can clearly see here that we are meeting both a short-term benefit of protecting the company's interests, and at the same time, we are fostering a more sustainable, long-term interest in protecting public health and the consuming public. As also argued by my first speaker, a blanket imposition, a one-size-fits-all imposition, does not take into account different economic factors that are at play. Because even if we set the price low and we fix it, there are always changing factors. Yes, Your Honor.
Speaker, EU 821 has just been passed. Why not give it a chance? How do you expect to see the benefits of the MRP if right away you're going to lift the MRPs?